The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Kerm Foltz with Market Leader, and we want to welcome you to today's webinar. Our webinar was supposed to be about jump-starting your real estate business with Ray Urrutia. Unfortunately, Ray is not with us this morning, so he is running late. I'm hoping he's able to join us in the very near future, but I do want to continue on. This was all about meeting Ray Urrutia and how he has had a 500% return on his investment utilizing the Market Leader solution, which includes the website, leads that are being generated right there on his website, connecting directly with him, and then his contact management system that he uses. So I apologize. He is running late. As you know, real estate agents and real estate professionals can be extremely busy, and he had something pop up. I'm hoping he's able to join us in the time being. However, I am going to still go over the content. This will be more thought leadership. I will be able to teach you a few things. I'm going to walk you through secrets to converting today's online consumer, how you can assist today's consumer without pressure, and adding contacts consistently into your pipeline. Also, one of the things that Ray does very well is he utilizes software tools to automate a lot of his business practices. So we'll walk you through some of those techniques that he shared with me yesterday and some of the techniques that he implements every day in his business. No matter what small business owner you are, okay, no matter if you own a dry cleaners or a grocery store or a tanning salon or a car dealership or a real estate business as you do, it's extremely important to always be aware of the three foundational points in regard to running a successful business. One is you have to be able to allow today's consumer to find you. Okay, so today's consumer has to be able to find you. The second thing is you have to enable or allow today's consumer to connect directly with you. And then finally, really the most important part is how do you allow today's consumer to be involved with you? Now notice what I started with. It's how you enable and allow today's consumer to find you, connect with you, and be involved with you. It's not the other way around. It's not how do you find them, or how do you connect with them, or how do you stay involved with them. The ownership goes on today's consumer. So unfortunately, Ray is not here, but a little bit of his feedback. Ray is from St. Charles in Geneva, Illinois, a very successful real estate professional from United Real Estate Company. And one of the nice things I like about Ray is he's very good at servicing consumers, and the reasons why he can service consumers effectively is he knows what approach to take. He takes an approach that's very service-oriented, not selling. He doesn't have to harass or interrogate. You know, he's very direct, but also he's able to provide relevant content. He wins the battle in regard to the competition battle with other agents because his approach sets him apart from other people. Now, the reason why his approach sets him apart from other people is he only provides content that's relevant and specific to each consumer. And he does that by not having to interrogate or interview consumers because of the software and technology that he uses. So we'll walk through that. The end result for Ray is he has increased and has over a 500% return on his investment. So think back on where you spend your marketing dollars today. What's your overall investment, and what's the return on your investment? So for every dollar he spends in regard to marketing with Market Leader, his return is $500 plus. So one of the things I'm sure that you struggle or find a challenge in regard to your real estate business is you have a lead. Now, what the heck do I do with it? Okay, even a referral or your sphere of influence or people that you meet through your brokerage or a website, you probably at times, this picture actually becomes laughable because you probably stare at an iPad or a laptop or a computer. You're like, okay, I have a lead. What the heck do I do? Okay, what do I send? What do I not send? What do I say? What do I not say? And how do I engage with this particular person? It definitely is the right approach. And so I'm going to walk you through some of the approaches that Ray implements in his business, and also invite you to future classes if you foresee based on what you need in your business. Because what we do is we'll walk you through what the correct approach is. If you take the incorrect approach with a lead, with today's consumer, they are going to take a sharp left. Okay, they are going to go elsewhere. I always say is they're going to go create a timeline with somebody else. Okay, and if you if you misidentify your lead, if you miscommunicate with your consumer, you are forcing that consumer to another agent and forcing a timeline somewhere else. So one of the things I think is important to understand is, hey, get excited. We are now moving from survival mode to let's thrive mode, okay? Real estate, the industry is at an all-time high here in the last 5 or 6 years. Things are extremely exciting, as you can see, throughout the entire country as well as Canada. Really, not to overreact, but the Great Recession's over. The old realities, okay, is that prices were continuing to decrease. Buyers were waiting for that low mark. Properties were distressed everywhere. No one was ever going to be able to be pre-approved for a loan again, and that led to severe decrease of consumer confidence. That's old news now. As you know, the characteristics of today's market, not a lot of inventory. Okay, all across the country, low levels of inventory, which has led to escalating prices. You are probably facing the bidding wars. Okay, multiple offers. Homes are not staying on the market very quick. Homes are selling within days of being listed, and very low interest rates. So people are excited. You see month over month that home prices are increasing. So what you need to do is now take advantage of it. Okay, start implementing some specific techniques so you can thrive in today's market and not be left on the side of the road. Now, if you think about the challenges of your business today, obviously it's generating leads. I'm assuming that most of you are generating fewer than 20 leads a month. That's an issue. Okay? Ray generates over 64 leads a month, and I'll show you his live system here shortly. Generates over 64 leads each and every month. Well, what does that lead him to? Because he takes the correct approach, because he knows how to engage leads effectively, because he's service-minded, because he has won, okay? He has won the battle of relevant content, okay, because of his website, right? Because of his technique sending emails, right? Because he's winning that, he's now able to average 5 to 7 transactions every month. So the number of leads that you generate correlates with the number of transactions that you will average consistently each and every month when you take that right approach. So one of the things that are important is if you want to appear as unique and successful and not just another face in the crowd, then you got to have the power of relevant content. You cannot appear as another face in the crowd by just sending information. That information that you sent must be relevant. In order to do that, you must understand today's consumer. So what I teach, and we'll talk high level here, but what I teach in future classes is here are the 5 things that you have to understand. The timeline that your consumer's on. Okay? Now a buyer timeline is twice as long as a seller timeline. In fact, almost 3 times, and I'll walk you through that. Okay? You have to understand what's motivating that consumer to be online collecting and gathering information. And then what are the expectations that consumers have for their agent? What do you think are those expectations? One of them is they expect their agent to be there exactly at the moment they need them, but not to harass and not to pounce and not to be available when they don't need them. Don't reach out when the consumer doesn't need you. So part of what Ray does very well, and because he utilizes the market leader solution, is he knows exactly when the right time is to reach out to consumers. Okay? And that's an expectation that all consumers have. They want you to be available when it's applicable and relevant to them. The question is, how do you know when? Because you can't ask. Because if you ask, you get messages, or I'm just looking, or I'm working with someone else. And when you ask that question, when you come across as selling, when you come across as interviewing or interrogating, you are forcing that consumer to begin a relationship, to begin a new timeline with somebody else. And then what's the consumer communication? What do you know about expectations in regard to how you should communicate? It does not have to be over the phone. In fact, at times, email is even passed by. Okay? Every time they're on your website, you are participating in a conversation. Texting is a great form of communication. And then what are their needs? Part of understanding what their needs are, okay, is that you have to have 2 goals in regard to identifying your lead. Every time you get a lead, you should have 2 goals. One, you have to determine their timeline. Okay? Therefore, then you can understand how they want to be communicated with. If you have no idea of what their timeline is, then you have no idea of what content's relevant and how they should be communicated with. Your second goal when you get a lead, you got to determine what demographic they fall into. Are they a traditional? Are they a baby boomer? Are they a part of Gen X? Are they a millennial? Because when you know what demographic they fall into, you can make some assumptions as to what they need, what they want, and what motivations that they have. Now, you have to be able to provide relevant content. Remember, consumers are not searching for agents online. Okay? You must allow them to use your store and remain behind the wall of the internet. Anybody have an idea, okay, of what your store is? It's not your office and it's not your phone. It's your website. Okay? So you have to allow them to utilize your website to educate themselves and remain behind the wall of the internet. But if you want to be successful in today's time and in today's business, your website has to be able to provide you with insight, and you have to have a way to get them back to your website. You can't be solely responsible for that. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Now, let me ask you this. When you get a lead, and all those people that are on today's webinar, when you get a lead, what is your goal when you get a lead? Share with me. Chat in what your thoughts are. Some people have said the goal when they get a lead is to qualify them, to get them on the phone, to convert them, to see how serious they are. That is, now let me ask you this. When a consumer, so Michael says get an appointment. Carl's a winner because he says provide them with information. John says need to get correct contact info. Absolutely not. Let me ask you this. If I pulled the leads, the consumers that are online becoming leads, and I ask them what's their number one goal, what's their answer going to be? What is their answer going to be? It's going to be to collect information, to see listings, to get the value of their home, to see if it's a smart move. None of it is to get an appointment or to verify if contact information is correct or to get qualified. They're gathering and collecting information. So if you are going to be successful, and one of the reasons why Ray has a 500% return on investment using Market Leader is because he aligns his goals with their goals. Okay? I like Lloyd. Provide information and build a relationship based on being a good source of info, and that you are a winner. Let's talk about the online consumer timeline. Okay? Now, you look here and you're like, holy cow, a seller's 21 months. All of this is the whole thinking part. They're not becoming a lead here. They're in pre-research mode. This is when, market conditions are important to them, or, they see things on the news, it triggers thoughts. Right here is when they become a lead. Okay? Somewhere in this area right here. So if you think about the first time they become a lead online, on average, all right, it's 7.7 months. Now guess what? They're going to become a lead multiple times here if the agent that's responding to them attempts to sell them or doesn't provide value. When they become a lead right here, and that agent picks up the phone and says, hey, let's set an appointment, let's get you face-to-face, how soon are you looking to sell? What does that potential consumer say? Well, I'm just looking, I'm researching, I'm not ready, I'm already working with someone, and then you think it's a crappy lead. But it's only because your approach was poor. And I'll walk you through some of those things. So what does that consumer do? He or she becomes a lead somewhere else, and becomes a lead somewhere else. So the only reason why at times you get a lead and they're 90 days out is because they became leads previously, but those agents dropped the ball with their approach. You have to have more listings in your business. The problem is it's tough to generate listings outside of referrals and sphere of influence unless you can piggyback with companies that can provide you with listing leads, but then it's all about your approach. If you do not have the correct approach with a listing lead or a buyer lead, I say never spend money on leads. I say never spend time generating leads. Get out of the business. If you don't know how to effectively communicate and what your 7-day approach is, okay, to get them back to your website. Never spend time on leads, never spend money on leads. Your number one goal is to be proficient and to understand today's consumer. That's how you get ahead. It's all about how you communicate, what you say, what don't you say, what you email, your links that drive people back to your site. You got to get in front of more listing leads, okay? And I'll show you later why Ray is very successful, because he's been a part of the $1 Million Pipeline program, okay? Because it tells him prescriptively what to say and what not to say and what to email and what to do on touch 1, touch 2, touch 3. So just understand this. Leads are coming to you anywhere right here, and then it's all about your approach, okay? So here are the 5 things you have to have in your website, okay? And there's a bonus 6. And this is exactly what Ray has. Ray's website is extremely consumer focused, okay? If I ask Ray, and he does this in emails, Ray, what do consumers like about your website? He tells me this. It allows them to collect and gather information. It allows them to find out all the new listings and keep up to date and be up to date in regard to market information without me having to hound them. Now I ask you, what do agents like about your website? Excuse me, what do consumers like about your website? You got to know this. What do you like about your website? A website only has 2 purposes, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, it's got to generate leads for you. If it doesn't, get rid of it. If it does, you're halfway home. Number 2, it's got to educate your consumers. You can't be responsible for educating. Your website is your store. It's where you hold the product. It's like going to the grocery store and being available and having all the products available that consumers want. If you are missing 1 or 2 products, what does that force the consumer to go do? It forces them to go somewhere else. If you want to win the battle of relevant content, if you want to win the battle of email, if you want to win the battle of today's consumer, you got to have these 5 things in regard to your website. It's got to be consumer focused. It cannot be about you. It's got to have a true IDX feed, which means it has all of the listings from the MLS. All of the listings from the MLS has to be displayed on your site, and really it should be on the front page. And you can't force them to check 4 or 5 boxes and click different things. It's got to be very quick for the consumer, or you're forcing them to go somewhere else. Now, guess what? If your site doesn't have neighborhood information, community information, market analysis, school district information, mapping, what are you forcing the consumer to go do? You're forcing that consumer to go visit another store. So you have to have that as well. And it can't be links that drive them away. Okay? Does that make sense? The next thing, it's got to have a lead capture tool that aligns with today's consumer. Now let me tell you what it isn't. It can't be contact me, email me, or call me, because that doesn't align with today's consumer. What does today's consumer want? They want listings, all right? They want to receive timely reports of listings that match their criteria in a certain area. That's the value proposition. So you should provide them with listings. And then for those that want to register and receive up-to-date reports on listings, you should allow them to, and that's a lead. Okay? What also do consumers want? They want monthly reports on the market. They want to be up-to-date. They don't want to be left behind. So that's your other, that's your other goal that you have to have. Okay? Here's the next one. Consumers are not sitting behind an iPad all day long, or a laptop, or a computer. It's mobile. They're using smartphones to search. So your website's got to be capable of mobile as well. And it's got to be integrated with a CRM. Anybody know what a CRM is? It's a contact relationship manager. It can't be a database. If your website, okay, is connected to a database, it's not doing you any good, because your contact management system has to be responsible for driving people back to your site. How do consumers get back to your site today? Your contact management system has to do it. If you're sending listings from the MLS, you're sending them to your competition. Again, when I do webinars like this, when I do thought leadership like things like this, all I want you to do is think of 1 or 2 things that you can implement in your business. And if you want to ask my advice later on, you can do that. But I've been working with real estate professionals as to how to grow, manage, and ultimately will build, grow, and manage real estate businesses for several years. Okay? Your biggest challenge is how do you keep up with today's consumer? That's why we started the $1 Million Pipeline program as well. Okay? But your contact management system or your CRM tool has to drive people back to your website. If not, where are they going? They're creating timelines somewhere else. Let me walk you through all the choices that today's consumer has. Okay? First of all, they can go to Google, they can go to Bing, they can go to Yahoo, they can go to realestate.com, they can go to realtor.com, they can go to Trulia, they can go to Zillow, they can go to your company's websites. They have plenty of choices, don't they? How do you eliminate them from continuing to use these sources? It's your first impression and it's your first approach, and it's the systems that you have in place. Why has Ray, had a 500+ return on his investment using Market Leader? Well, he continues to add new people into his pipeline, and he uses technology that eliminates all of this. So when they find him, he makes sure that they don't go back, and I'll show you why. But here's the reason why consumers go online. Here are the reasons why consumers become leads. Okay? Now, what is your goal? I'd love for you to tell me. Okay? What is your gross commission goal for a year? How many transactions do you want to average? Do you have to average consistently each month? Tell me. Anybody? How many transactions do you want to consistently average per month? Alan was my first guy. Alan says 4. Okay? So Alan says 4 transactions. Okay? Now whatever that income is will be 4 times your commission. Not a no-brainer. Okay? So Alan, we're going to use you as an example. Alan, how many leads do you get on average a month? Okay? How many leads do you get on average a month? I need you to think 11. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So here's what I want to do. 11 leads he gets, and it's probably from several different sources. All right, and it doesn't matter what source they are right now. Now, when he gets a lead, most agents, what is your, you are thinking your approach is right here. But the leads approach is all the way up here. So every lead is not going to turn into a transaction. We know that. Our number one goal is turning a lead into a contact. Remember, a lead, their goal is to get timely reports on the market or get timely reports on listings that match their criteria. Or a lead could be also, they're curious about the value of their home and how it stacks up to other homes in their neighborhood to assess, is this their window of opportunity to put their home on the market? Now, with the correct approach, let me define what a contact is. A contact is someone who visits your website on a daily or weekly basis. Does everybody understand that? That's the definition of a contact. Definition of a lead is someone who wants ongoing information from you. So how many people, how many contacts should come out from leads, or how many leads should turn into contacts? When you generate 11 leads a month, all right, between 4 and 6 of these will become contacts with the correct approach. Now from here, 1 to 3 will be people that will proactively reach out to you. So what does that mean? They're in those last 90 to 120 days. They want to find HOA dues. They want to find out, the process of getting pre-approved. They'll reach out and say, how big is this yard? Which school district shall I avoid? Which community is going to provide me with the most benefit? That's what they're doing. Okay? Now the number of transactions from there will be between 0 and 1. So I will tell you this funnel never lies. When you generate 11 leads a month, with the correct approach, 4 to 6 of them will turn into contacts, meaning they'll come back to your website on a daily or weekly basis. 1 to 3 of them will reach out to you proactively asking you more questions, meaning they need you and your expertise. And then, just based on percentages, everybody, 0 to 1 will turn into a transaction. So Alan, my thoughts to you is this usually how your pipeline falls into it as well? Which leads, when you consistently generate 11 leads a month, you're going to get, and Alan just replied yes, you're going to have between 8 and 12 transactions a year when you get 11 a month. Okay? Now, what happens? You are heartbroken when this doesn't turn into a transaction. And what do? You continue to harass, not you, Alan, but just people in general. You really put all your eggs in one basket. Okay? So now let me walk you through, and this is why we do. One is you have to agree, you have to identify how many transactions you want each and every month. Then you have to agree to the number of new leads that you need to generate into your pipeline each and every month to get to 4. So in this case, we need to times everything by 4. But I'll do 40 here, okay? And then you're looking anywhere from 16 to 24 people will be on your website every day and every week, okay? At any point, you should be able to say, you should go into your contact management system and be like, oh yeah, 25 people have been on my site in the last 48 hours, okay? And then from here, you're anywhere from, this is 4, or actually it's probably 3. Actually, it's 4. 4 to 7. Excuse me. 4 to. This is inaccurate. This is 8 to about 14. So now between 8 and 14 people will be proactively reaching out to you within a given month, which will lead to, with the correct approach, will lead to 3 to 6 transactions a month. All right. So if you want 4 transactions, you got to generate 40 leads a month. Now, guess what? There's no way in heck you're affording 40 leads a month. Ray does, but Ray started with 20, and then he increased his lead count and his investment, several times in the last 6 months. Again, no one can afford to start off 40 leads a month paying for. So what I teach and what you should do is you start with 20, and then you learn how to generate another 20, 30, 40 leads a month. Now, there are a lot of different ways to be found, okay? This is everywhere where consumers are shopping. This is your online store. This is your website. You got to drive everybody to your website. Everyone has to go to your website. Now, my question is, do you want them to? Does your website have all 5 of those things that we talked about earlier? If not, go find a new website, okay? And you can get them for really inexpensive as long as it works, okay? So guess what, though? Once you get people to your website, how do you eliminate them from going back to the source that they found you on, okay? How often do your referrals go to your website? Or do you rely on them calling you? Make no mistake, they're using, if you only rely on them calling you and you don't have a way to get them back to your website and you don't know when they're using your website, okay, they're creating timelines somewhere else. So what I teach is how to generate traffic to your website that will turn into leads, and then I teach how to eliminate these other sources, all right, from consumers going back to those sources somewhere else. Part of how we do that is a very prescriptive plan of attack, okay? So your number one goal when you get a lead is to get them back to your website. So we do that on different strategies that I teach in the $1 Million Pipeline program. You have to have a way for the consumer to get back to your website, okay? Just like 20 years ago, you had techniques to get them back into your office. Now everything's online, so you got to get them back to your website. Then the most important thing after that is you got to have the contact management system that identifies what they did when they were on your site. Does it accelerate them? When they view one home, does it influence them to view 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes, save a couple of homes, look at market conditions, respond and shoot you an email? Does it provide them with relevant content to them? That's what your system has to be able to do. Real estate can be very simple today with the right system. And I'll tell you, Anybody ready for the system that Ray uses? $99. In fact, Ray is on the phone right now. Hold on real quick. So Ray was running behind a little bit and misunderstood the time. So that was him that just called my cell phone because I gave it to him a little bit ago. And so he's going to log in shortly. So if you have questions for Ray, do that. But here are the 4 strategies that I teach to guarantee lead engagement. The whole idea is to be a co-pilot. Right? What Ray does really, really well is he helps consumers throughout this entire process, and he's able to be found. I teach Ray, okay, how to generate leads off of Google, Bing, Yahoo, and AOL. Okay. Also, okay, he generates leads off of Craigslist very effectively, and this is all part of the $1 Million Pipeline program that he takes a part of. And I know I'm going through this fast, but for those agents who are serious about increasing their gross commission income, you can participate in the $1 Million Pipeline program as well. Okay? So here is the plan I have for Craigslist. And I guarantee you, you'll generate at least 20 leads in just 7 days. And we teach agents how to take advantage of social media. Okay? Now, how we do that, one of the things is we drive people back to your website utilizing a call to action that's appropriate for today's consumer. All of this is included in the program that Ray takes advantage of, the $1 Million Pipeline program. Okay? Now, let me walk you through this. Your number one question you have to have is how many transactions do you want to average per month on a consistent basis? Okay? Ray, are you there? I think Ray is close to arriving. Ray, thank you for being here. My apologies for the time issues. Welcome. We have our audience today is made up of real estate professionals across the country. Joining us now is really the king of being able to jumpstart his real estate business. I love the fact that, Ray, you really have had a 500% return on your investment using the Market Leader solution. Tell everybody why.
Well, the reason that to help me kickstart my business, I'll look for something that could provide leads. Kerm, I'm going to bet here.
Yeah, you are. There's a little bit of an echo, so I don't know if you're on the computer or if you want to turn down one volume, but
yeah, hold on. I think that's right. There we go. Turn this off. How's this sound?
Yeah. A little bit better, yeah. So walk us through really why you've been able to have a 500% return on your investment.
Well, I think one is the quality of leads that Market Leader is able to provide. And what I was looking for when I first got into the business, I've been doing this for 10 years, but as a broker for the last year and a half to almost 2 years, I was looking for something of a lead source where I could spend my best time to sell. And Market Leader has provided that for me through bringing quality leads with telephone numbers and email addresses and a very timely tool to be able to follow up. Knowing that every lead, I've been in sales for quite some time, is an opportunity. Not everyone's going to pan out right away. Not everyone's going to say, yes, I want to do it now. But what they do provide me is an opportunity to sell to them later. And with the tools that are part of the platform that I'm using right now at Market Leader, it allows me to trip on them. Mm-hmm. And the ones that say stop it, I stop it, but I keep it on my queue to follow up in a couple months. Because
and you have
tomorrow's opportunity.
Yeah, in your system, tell everybody about how your system does a lot. One of the things you like is you have a lot of things set up that's automated, so it keeps people going back to your website. Tell everybody about just the impact the entire system's had on your business, really eliminating consumers from going anywhere else.
It keeps them pulling back, Kerm. As you're dripping on them, they keep on coming back. And what's happening right now, it's been going on for 7, 8 months, maybe 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
What's taking place is that when people are accessing it, now they're sending me personal emails and also calling me to see the properties that are on the market, which is very unique in the sense that not only is it pulling them in, but now it's forcing them to action, and that's what the tool
Yeah.
is. And the other thing that assisted me in this process is because the way the leads were coming in, I'm on the field all the time. I actually hired an assistant to actually follow up for me to make sure we touch them immediately versus if I'm on the road, I can't do it right away because I'm on a call to make sure that contact is there. So she touches them, and then I touch them again. So between market leader touching them once or twice, she touches them, I touch them, that's 4, and then market leader with the drip campaign, and what they're looking for, we set up again. So within about 2 weeks, or maybe 3 weeks, we got 6 or 7 touches.
Wow, and that's perfect. And so, and really the nice thing is that's what today's consumer expects from realtors, and you do a nice job of that, of communicating with some sort of content that's relevant to them, either on the buyer side or on the listing side. And you are working both with potential buyers and potential sellers, am I correct?
Yes, I am. And on the sell side, what I'm doing is because I know that when somebody says I have interest in looking at analysis of my home, I also realize it's not going to happen for 3 months, 6 months, even a year down the line by the time they really make that decision. But the reality is, with the system and the platform, I can touch them as frequently or as infrequently as they would like. I also do personal touches with telephone calls and personal emails to see how they're doing, if there are any questions I need to answer, and again, very lightly touch them. And then I always ask for a meeting, but a very an indirect but direct way. And with that system and that kind of touch,
Right.
eventually you'll be at. Here's what I'm finding out here in the marketplace. I've met a lot of opportunities, also referrals of mine. What they say, they go on these websites and nobody ever calls them back.
Isn't that funny?
It is.
Yeah, I always
They
think
wait,
too,
they wait.
Ray, it's because they don't know what to say and they don't know what to send.
And then again, the only thing you have to ask is, what's your question? It's real
Yeah,
simple.
exactly. It's because they've gotten, a lot of times too, is because agents first approach, they get such negative feelings and negative responses that they don't want to follow up with a lead, or they just assume all leads are bad, and it's only because they don't know what approach to take. And I know Caitlin has helped you tremendously. So Caitlin, you work with here in Market Leader. Tell me some of the things briefly, because a lot of times, like, I want everybody to understand, if your business is not where you want it to be today, you know, Ray's had 500% return on his investment since working with Market Leader. He gets leads from Market Leader, and he gets this system that I'm showing you live right here as well. And he also gets Caitlin, who is a business consultant, who has taught him quite a few things on how to utilize the system and work with today's consumer. What are some of the things that you guys have talked about and has made an impact in your business?
Well, I think in the beginning is really identifying the markets as through my eyes and her interpretation. And then also understanding what Market Leader has to offer, she'll make suggestions of various tools that I should be using or use in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently, what I've done in my own marketplace, I live in Chicago, Illinois, about 40 miles southwest. I was working in the Aurora marketplace, which probably is going to garner from an $80,000 to a $300,000 potential buyer or seller. And recently, in my discussion with her, I'm moving up market. I want to go between $500,000 to $1.2 million in this area. So we changed the wording, we changed the market, we changed the type of services I'm using to be able to attract that kind of buyer and seller. And that was 45 days ago. Now that strategy started to pay off because those type of clients and opportunities are coming in. And from her, also understanding me as a person, she'll make suggestions like, have you tried this? Here's what's coming out with this. Here's a new market to open up for you. Here's your red flag. So she constantly follows up, good contact, good communication, and good ideas on how to make my business better. Because as we are professionals out there in the field, we're not always sitting around strategizing because we're out there selling or doing listings or appointments or other things that we're creating activity. So for me, she's been a valuable tool and asset. And over time, to create a friendship that develops into better business.
Yeah, and that's why I really like with Market Leader and working with real estate professionals too, is this is our philosophy with everyone. I mean, we really want to help someone build and then grow and then manage their real estate business. And it's interesting, at the beginning you were building, now you are growing very aggressively, aren't you?
I am. I got real aggressive goals for this year, and I think with the assistance of Market Leader and the platform they bring to the table, I'll be able to achieve that goal. And then here's the thing, folks. My belief is that every tool has its rewards, and this is not the only thing that I do. I'm out there also networking, the associations I belong to, communicate with other realtors around the country, and also within my known backyard. And this is a real good, strong compliment because it does the things in this space that none of us like to prospect. But
so when you log into your, Ray, when you log into your system, what's the first thing that you do?
I check, well, I get it via my email, and just recently, Market Leader launched their mobile app. Now I'll be able to access more information from my phone. So when I get a lead, I'm checking to see if there's a phone number. Then I'm checking to see what they're interested in. Are they buyer or seller? Checking the address, make sure I can send them a quick note and say, thank you for reaching my site. I appreciate it. Is there anything I can help you with? Please call at your convenience.
Yeah.
They've already got the information they want. They've already collected more information, and I'm just touching them very lightly. What I do after that, I log in again. Now I'm actually going about try to get the appointment, especially from a buyer side. Because when they have interest, it's because they are pre-approved, or they think they're going to be approved, or they got the cash to put down, and they want to buy. They want to buy now. So I don't like to let it go.
Yeah, you got to be ready to go. So how do you like the new mobile CRM?
It's probably overstretching here, but it's a godsend because before I'm getting an email saying I got an opportunity, and I had to log in, and on my smartphone, the screen wasn't big enough for me to see what I wanted to see. But now with the mobile app, when I click login, it just opens it all up. It gives me my new contacts, gives me to-dos, and the opportunity to have more visibility immediately with everybody. It's a great app.
What's your favorite part of the entire system? What couldn't you live without?
The immediate contact. I think the text messages and the emails, and now with the mobile access, the mobile application, it gives me that full round, three-corner stool that I need to be able to do my business better while I'm on the road.
Yeah. And so,
media notification.
How long have you been with Market Leader?
Go about almost a year now. I started more actively around July, August of last year, and it really propelling itself as we go into time here. And I think that's one of the things Kaylin kind of emphasized is that the activity you see and the benefits you're going to realize is not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. It's all about
business.
Yeah. What now? You get, I think, about what, 50, 60 leads a month? I can't remember.
Yeah, my minimum was 35, but the way the markets that I'm involved in, it'll probably about 40, 45.
40, 45. Right.
Yeah.
And so for those agents who want to participate, like Ray has in the $1 Million Pipeline program, and I know you just enrolled for session 2. In the $1 Million Pipeline program, you get a guaranteed number of 20 leads a month. Plus, we'll teach you how to generate at least 30 more leads from Craigslist, social media, along with increasing your referrals each month. And then my favorite part is we actually teach you techniques to identify your leads demographic and the timeline, how to launch your 7-day plan of attack to convert buyers and sellers. It's actually 10 consecutive Mondays, Ray, and I know you've signed up for session 2 here. It's our live coaching workshop schedule every Monday morning, 12 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and 11 o'clock on the Central Time Zone. And we actually teach you everything. And the whole key here is we teach you how to increase your gross commission by over 80%. Over 80K over a 12-month period of time. So I do want to take just a couple of minutes to take some questions from the audience. So if you have a question for Ray, who's increased his return on investment has been over 500%, utilizing the Market Leader solution. It gets him leads, it gets him the entire system, and then obviously some training when he has time for it. So feel free. This is a great question, Ray, from Jessica. How will this system work for a new agent to the business?
I think for new agents, it's even more important because one of the toughest things in being new to any industry is getting appointments and getting opportunities to work with and sell. So I think Market Leader could jumpstart you immediately because it's going to give you new opportunities to talk to and get that the talk track down faster.
And boy, I bet you wish you had this 10 years ago, huh?
In any sales environment I was in, I wish I had this kind of platform.
Yeah, because it really takes all the, I mean, you didn't get in the business to generate leads. You got in the business to actually work with people and utilize your expertise. And so Market Leader gets you a guaranteed number of leads every month. Guaranteed number of leads every month. And so I can't remember his name that he had. I think it was Alan. Alan wants 4 transactions a month. He's generating 11 leads a month. It's not that those numbers, no matter how you play the math, it doesn't work out that way. You know, you got to generate 30, 40, 50 leads a month in order to get 4 transactions. So again, your number one question, everybody, and you heard Ray, he has some very aggressive goals this year. You got to determine the number of transactions you want, and then you have to align that to the number of leads you want, and it's got to be a pretty high number. So I can walk you through that. But here's a great question from Alan. Do you door knock, and and if so, how do you integrate it?
Door knocking I don't do because I really rely on Market Leader to provide the opportunities. I have done it in the past, but one of the reasons for being with Market Leader is to generate those leads automatically that I can work them and use my skills that I believe I have as far as sales perspective goes.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I want to emphasize, Kerm, is that one of the things that Market Leader does, they have many departments that follow up with you to make sure you're leveraging and getting the most out of their services. So Caitlin is my point of contact with other departments that have other expertise that will come to me and say, hey, have you tried this? Have you looked at this? Well, I see you're doing this. So you have all this expertise in the back end to bring to your table to make it even better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. So we only have about 90 seconds left. Jessica's question, are we able to buy more leads? Ray, you have bought more leads, boy, how many times in the last 4 to 5 months?
I think I've increased them maybe 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
I just recently went to realestate.com, which is one of the services of Market Leader to be typically in a high-end marketplace that I want to be part of.
So let me ask you this. Why did you increase leads?
Increase in leads, as you pointed out, if my goal is to hit 15 transactions a month. So if I'm pulling in 40 to 50, that's a third, and I think my capabilities are to close that many as I get the opportunities. The other thing that we need to remember is that if I get 1 lead, that's good for 2 referrals.
Yeah.
So I expedite. If I get 15 closes, I got 45 opportunities.
Yep. And so again, what I want our audience to hear is he's aligning he's agreeing to the number of leads he has to have into his pipeline every month to his transaction goal each month. So I want everyone to understand if that's one takeaway, you have to agree with the number of new leads to add to your pipeline, and that has to make sense to the number of new transactions. Debbie's quick question, how many leads would you suggest to buy as a new agent?
As a new agent, a minimum of at least 20. And the reason is that in the beginning, they're going to work with you to figure out which ones are really qualified. So you're going to go through a process of elimination. So if you want to get 2 out of that 20 or 5 out of that 20, what's the caliber you're looking for? So they're all good leads, but some are better than others, as any lead is. So a minimum of 20 to get you re-going would be the ideal.
Yeah. Good question. So I want to be respectful for time. Ray, I apologize on a little bit of the miscommunication on our time, but I definitely appreciate it. Alan's question, does it work in Toronto? Yes, and we have the relationship with Treb, along with another service right there. So yes, definitely. So if you want to join the $1 Million Pipeline Program, actually, Ray, close your ears because it's $99 in June and $99 in July. The phone number is 888-820-4778. So Rosario's confused. What do you mean about buying leads? Ray, again, tell everyone quickly everything that you get with Market Leader.
Right now, what I've done, I isolated zip codes, and then on realestate.com, I isolated a city. So anything that comes through in those zip codes, I get. So each zip code provides so many leads per month, and I signed up for what I could.
Yeah.
And with Caitlin's help, I'm either increasing the zip code or trying to get more leads for buy and sell side.
Got it, and he got it. He thanks you very much for it. So I want to be respectful for time. Thank you very much Ray, appreciate it. Thank you for our audience today. I'm hoping that you can find one or two things that you can implement in your business. And if you want to take advantage of the same systems that Ray has not just built his business now, but is aggressively growing his business, the phone number is 888-820-4778. You can join the $1 Million Pipeline Program and get enrolled for our next class, which is May 20th. Thanks, Ray. Have a great afternoon in Chicago. It's my favorite city.
Thank you. Talk to you guys later.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.